What is the role of humans in the universe? Is there a human role in the universe? If so, what role does it play? Can I play the role I was assigned? Throughout my life, I will study astrophysics. The mystery of the creation of the universe, the process of evolution of the universe, what will happen to the future of the universe, and what will happen to humankind at that time. Ultimately, the relationship between the will of the universe and humans behind the cosmic phenomenon. I have been thinking about the role that human beings should play in the universe. After many years of thinking, I wrote a dissertation entitled Answer from Buddhist Thought to Cosmology. In this paper, I learned from the study of astrophysics, the operation of the universe, the evolution of the universe, the significance of the existence of life in the universe, the reason and role of the existence of human beings. From the idea of Heart Sutra in Buddhist thought, the existence of life, the reason for the existence of human beings, and the role. It is mistaken that the universe is a physical or physical world such as stars, planets, satellites, solar systems, galaxies, large-scale structures of the universe, black holes, cosmic rays, electromagnetic waves, light, gravity, baryon photon fluids, and plasmas. No, but it is also an important aspect that the universe is a culture that gives birth, grows, and evolves life. My research on the birth of the universe is also the research on the birth of life. The pandemic of the new coronavirus that is currently attacking humankind around the world and the development and inoculation of virus preventive vaccines against it, the government, local governments, medical scientists, pharmacists, medical workers, human life forms and virus life forms, I see it as a battle. The Earth, the third planet of the solar system in the suburbs from the center of the galaxy called the Earth, is one of the lives that we human beings were born, evolved, and diverged on this small planet by some inevitability. It can be said that the probability that life will be born on the Earth is as close to zero as possible. Human beings, one of the lives born from the probability of being as close to zero as possible, are now being killed by Russians and Ukrainians in Ukraine. Many Ukrainian people have been killed in this seemingly meaningless battle, fleeing their homeland of ammunition and death, parting with their immediate family to neighboring Poland, and from there to European countries and Japan as refugees seeking a safe haven. Europe, the United States, and Japan have begun to work with the government of Japan, local governments, and volunteer groups to accept refugees, warmly welcome them, and live as new Japanese citizens if they so desire. I see this fight coming to an end. Russia Putin is also in a stalemate. NATO, EU member states and G7 member states may be in step with each other to strengthen economic sanctions, resulting in a stalemate in the Russian economy, rising prices, rising dissatisfaction among Russians, and demanding the retirement of Putin. It is clear that Russia's Putin cannot win against the whole world except China and Belarus. It is only a matter of time before Ukraine, led by Zelensky, who has allied the public opinion of the liberal governments and the wood people of the world, will win. During this time, I was Ukrainian Zelensky, Russian Putin, President Belarus, President Lithuania, President of the United States, Prime Minister of Japan, Prime Ministers of the United Kingdom, France and Germany, President, Switzerland and Finland, which had not moved until now. Denmark and even Israel have begun to provide weapons, funds, and accept refugees, and have heard in the news on YouTube that they have announced their decision. We also heard the opinions of the Ukrainian ambassador to Japan, the Russian ambassador, the Georgia ambassador, and the former Japanese ambassador to the United States. I also listened to Ukrainian President Zelensky's online speeches at the National Assembly and the UN Security Council. After that, the above outlook was reached. The question is, who will do the reconstruction of Ukraine after the battle is over? It is time for EU member states, the United States, and the Japanese government to discuss the reconstruction of Ukraine after the end of the war, and discuss how to share the framework and budget to be borne by refugees. I think Apart from discussions between governments, I think that young people who have fled to European countries, the United States, Canada, and Japan and want to work for the reconstruction of their homeland will gather their sweat and wisdom for the reconstruction of their homeland under President Zelensky. I think it is the most desirable. I think that the case where Jews from all over the world gathered in Palestine, founded Israel, and built up advanced science and technology in a prosperous society may be a reference for the reconstruction of Ukraine. It is. Also regarding Israeli military technology Iron Dome, which is devoted to fighting Palestinians and Arabs, acquisition of military information, and defense policy planning. I think I have a lot to learn, although I have little knowledge. I think that Ukrainians are a people with courage and spirit, motivation, wisdom and brain as descendants of Cossacks. The Jewish people endured and survived a much harsher long history of cold treatment, discrimination and slaughter than the Ukrainian people. Continued to protect their faith and education for their children, and revived Israel in the land of Palestine, the current standard of living, science. We have created technology and a national defense system. Switzerland and Finland also maintain neutrality. And to achieve the standard of living and happiness that is said to be the best in the world, all the soldiers, strengthen the defense system, and to maintain neutral diplomacy, that much effort, patience, and many years of preparation. There is history. From that point, President Ukrainian Zelensky could have expected to be invaded by Russian troops in diplomacy with Russia. As a brother, he must have understood the Russian Napoleon and Hitler's invasion of Western European countries as victims in defense consciousness. It should be understood that Ukraine, which was thought to be a brother country, would feel that turning its back on Russia and turning to NATO membership would put the blade of NATO forces on Russia's throat. And Finland's foreign policy toward Russia, I think I should have learned from. There is no doubt that President Zelensky has grown significantly in the invasion of Russian troops. But it takes careful rooting for Russia to switch the rudder of Ukraine's politics, including his aides at the time when he was elected president for the first time. I think that the lack of understanding of this is at the bottom of the disaster in Ukraine. At the end of the current battle, there will be a move to recommend Zelensky to the Nobel Peace Prize. But he is still immature as a Zelensky politician for the distant cause that caused the tragedy of the sacrifice of the lives of the Ukrainian people and the destruction of national infrastructure. The person must be aware that is at the bottom. I think there are many things to learn from the diplomacy with Russia that faces the reality of the two Finnish presidents when dealing with Putin, a dictator. It is natural that the main body of the reconstruction of the motherland is Ukrainians centered on Zelensky. And the Japanese and Western governments should play a role in supporting the money, supplies, and their experiences they need. The younger generation of Ukrainians who have fled to Japan will go on to university and graduate school when they settle down in Japanese society, and will be dispatched overseas from Japan in the event of a disaster such as Japan's peace constitution, foreign policy of foreign aid, and disasters such as earthquakes and tsunamis. The medical team, fire rescue team, and SDF team may be grateful to foreigners who have suffered a disaster in terms of speed, discipline, and organizational structure. But the essence is the kindness and sincerity of the Japanese people. I think that this Japanese heart resonates with those who have been hurt and lost everything. The Ukrainians who have evacuated to Japan want to accept the kindness and sincerity of the Japanese people. Perhaps the biggest contribution that Japanese people can make to the world is the kindness and sincerity of the Japanese people. Financial and technical support will follow. A long time ago, when I was a little kid, when I fell down on a muddy road in the rain and cried, my mother flew up and picked me up, wiped the mud on my face, and changed my wet clothes. I was relieved to be held in my mother's chest. Relieved the people who met the disaster from under the rubble and wiped their faces. It was hard, it's okay. I'm on my side. From this one word everything starts. Am I in need for religion for humans, or is there no faith away from the church? I have been thinking about the fundamental question for a long time. I saw a picture in the search. It is an angelus that depicts the women who pick up the fallen ears drawn by millet and the couple who finished the day's farming work praying for gratitude to God. Why do women bend their hips and pick up the ears that have fallen to the ground? Crop absorbs the nutrients of the earth and grows in the light of the sun. People eat the life of the crop and keep their lives. There is no doubt that living organisms and animals keep their lives and are active by taking in other life as food. In other words, he kills other lives and saves his own life. I think war is a prime example. Going back to Millet's two paintings, I think this painting depicts gratitude for the earth, the sun, all life, and nature that nurture the source of life. I thank everything that surrounds me. Apply the word God to the nature that gives it, something transcendental that moves it. And in Christianity I pray for gratitude to Jesus in the human form. I think it's supposed to be. This means that prayers will be offered to God without going to church. A human being born as a life. Becoming an adult, sometimes bleeding and fighting with each other, sometimes weeping, and helping each other can be said to be human beings, this unknown, as Alexis Carrel says. From the point of view of God, human beings may be seen as stupid, sane, and as dangerous as a toddler. But we have to do humans. Humans have no choice but to walk the darkness of his life with a light in his heart. Astrophysics researchers are just those who have continued to learn the truth of the universe. What I have reached is the state of non-religious view of the universe. This means that you are the only one who faces the truth of the universe. Let me show you what I was at that time. This is myself in the vacuum universe. Light can't be seen anywhere, even gravity. After all, the universe where humankind is now has not been created yet. In my research area, how was the vacuum energy of the vacuum universe created, and what kind of process did it go through to create the present universe? It was my research subject is to watch over the future of the human universe, which has been expanding since the Big Bang, from the vacuum universe where I am, and to approach the truth of the universe. That is why the truth of the universe and the world of myself are the world I should be. The 6th of April 2022 INU Research Organization, Professor Kubo.